And welcome to the stats review video for both March and Q1. We have a lot to go over, so this might be super boring for some of you, so check out the chapters below to go to the part you want. So if you just want stats, go click on it. We're gonna start off with all the books that I read in March. And I read so much. So much in March. I read 27 books, y'all. Remember how I was like on the TBR video going, oh my god, the game is so mean, and gave me a 20 book TBR? Well, I beat that number. Some of these books obviously are not on the TBR. Some of them were. We're gonna go over them very briefly just because, you know, there were so many of them. The first one, of course, was not on the TBR. The very first book that we read in March is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. This is an adult book by her. Mostly she has been known for, at least for me, as a YA writer. I don't know if this is her first adult. I don't think it is. It might be. I don't know. Don't quote me. This is also a special Fairy Loot edition. Oh yeah, boy. This is a kind of mystery thriller, little tiny smidgen of paranormal. I actually really liked it. I believe I gave this 4 stars. So yeah, I gave it 4 stars. Really enjoyed it. Thought it was fun. And I'm not normally a mystery thriller kind of girl, but I really liked this one. It was very good. Next up, we read an arc that was provided to me by the author. It is called Echo of the Evercry by E.J. Dawson. And I also gave this 4 stars. It is a high fantasy world with a very interesting magic system. I really like the characters. It's the start of a series, and I believe, is it out yet? I think it comes out, when does it come out? It's out in July, so get your pre-orders going. I really liked it though. It's very fun, very interesting. We have a lot of queer characters as well. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I think I talked about it more on a live stream possibly. I did take notes on it, but not the bad kind of notes that I normally take. Now I've jumped into the foray of taking notes for both good and bad books, and I really enjoyed this. There was a couple things that I was like, I wish we had spent a little more time on this one aspect or something, but overall, really enjoyed this. Very excited to see how the story turns out. So then we read a graphic novel, an indie graphic novel, and that is Heaven's Equal by Tycho Dwellis. This is my good friend Tycho, who makes this really cool comic about kind of a modern telling of Journey to the West with the Monkey King, Sun Wukong, if you know that history. If you've ever watched the anime Sayuki, okay, then you know. I'm Sayuki girl. This is like Wukong is working in Chinatown as this restaurant that's kind of like a fusion Chinese-Mexican restaurant. It's very funny. The only thing about this is for me, because this is 6 like chapters, it started as a webcomic, and I struggle with webcomics because I'm used to so much more information being presented, and so with comics it's a little bit more limited. So it's six chapters, but it's like, where's the next part? And it's like, well, then you'd have to go read online because the next volume isn't printed yet. But I don't really like reading webcomics online all that much. It's just, that's a personal taste for me. So, but if you're a comic reader, then I do anticipate a lot of people really liking this. I think the art is fantastic. There's a lot of good, there's moments where it's, you know, like we've got some like in color moments here, and I just think it's great. And you can watch Tycho do this art, like more color art there, live on their live streams, and they're super fun, so you guys should totally come check out that. I do love the so the kind of last page, not, is it the last page? Wait, I got to witness this drawing happen, and actually working on the cover and everything was I got to watch it happen. This is actually my favorite art in this, is this baby here. It's just beautiful, and I love it. But yeah, but I want more of the story. So like, it always feels like when volumes end in graphic novels and manga and comics and stuff, that I'm like, where's the rest of it? I always feel that way, but that's because I'm mostly a book reader and not a comic reader. Next up, another book not on the TBR, but I'd been waiting for, and that is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. Now, I went into this thinking I was not going to like it very much. However, pleasantly surprised. Again, most of the books right now are 4 stars. It's it's got that dark romance to it. There was a little tiny bit of ick in that dark romance, but I'm gonna forgive it for a bit because I think people who are not liking it because of this romance, I think are blowing it a little bit out of proportion. And you know me, I hate an age gap. It's kind of, but when it deals with like an immortal creature, I'm more okay with it. I don't know why, but I am. And based on what we're setting up for our main character to kind of probably become, I'm much more okay with it. I could go in way more detail about that in another thing, but I don't want to take up the video because this is going to be a long video anyway. But I really liked it. I think the prose is really beautiful. I loved the atmosphere in this book. I think that's what really drew me in the most, was the atmosphere. And a little, like, some of the stuff was a little on the nose with the feminism aspect. It was a little bit like too obvious. But again, I think for me, what got me so interested in reading it and be so immersed in it was the prose and the atmosphere of the book. So well done, Adelaide Grace. It's funny because you can really see even her improvements as a writer since her debut, which I read, which was All the Stars and Teeth duology. Which I also gave 4 stars, but I would rank them lower than Belladonna just based on prose alone. Next up, I was very happy to get to this book, and that is The Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi. I gave this 4.5. I think my only complaint is that it's so short, and I want to live with the kaiju so long. I loved it. I also felt I related to the main character so much because he was bullshit fired from a job, and I've been bullshit fired from a job before, and then just the vindication later. Oh, it made me so happy. But I loved it. I loved the characters. They all felt very real, and it just was a good time. For the longest time in this, it is them actually doing the job of Kaiju Preservation Society, and I love that never really changed for them. And I loved it. I loved the ending of this so much, and I just need this to be a series. That's also what I think I took a half star away, is I need this to be a series. I want to live with the Kaiju Preservation Society forever. Next up, we got to a Kendra Merritt, one of my all-time favorite indie writers, and that is Skin Deep. And this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. So Kendra Merritt has this Mark of the Least series. They're all companion novels, so you don't have to read them in any particular order. This is, all of the characters have, the main characters have a disability of some sort. So our main character in this one does have a kind of physical deformity. She was injured as a young, I want to say not full-on child, but as I forget how old she is. She gets shot with an arrow in her leg, and it messes her up, so she walks with a limp, and she's scarred on her face, so she has the physical deformity and disability. And I really like this. I didn't like it as much as By Winged Chair, though. That still remains my favorite, and the only reason is because this one is heavier on the religious aspect. So there is a religion in the world, but it's a little bit too close. It's too much Christianity. It's too close of it, and it got a little bit preachy because, like, the characters in this have a much more deep faith with their God, and it was a little bit too much for me because I am not a religious person. I am agnostic, and I have my own history with, like, church and things that are not positive experiences. So I tend to not like books that focus heavily or that have a heavy faith in them. Well, the faith exists. Like, I don't mind religion existing in it. It was just so much of the focus of this book was on the main character's struggle with wanting to, like, serve their God. And that was a bit much on my side. Just for me. I still loved it. I still love the romance in this. I still love the world building in this. I still love the characters in this. It was just that aspect that went, okay, I don't like this. Also, epilogue. It didn't have epilogue. It didn't have me savoring. By Winged Chair lets you savor the happy ever after. This one did not let me savor happy ever after. So it gets a little negative points there. Still love it. Still a 4.5. It's weird that I'm like, here's all my negative points, but 4.5. Next up, we continued a series, and that is A Rogue of One's Own by Evie Dunmore. This is the second in the League of Extraordinary Women. It is a historical romance, feminist romance, because it deals with suffragettes, which is a very fun aspect of these historical romances. I read Bringing Down the Duke in did I read it this year, or did I read it at the end of last year? I don't remember. Which it was way spicier than I thought it was going to be. This was like, whoa, spice. Now, here's the, I didn't like this one as much as I like Bringing Down the Duke. I gave this one 3.5. I just really didn't care for the characters in this one. I mean, he is a rogue. I don't like everyone sleeping around and just treating sex very casually. I don't like that. That's not a thing that I enjoy in reading or in real life. But definitely I don't enjoy it in real life. I'm ace. So I was a little bit too ace for this book, I will say that. But overall, like, I didn't connect as well with the main characters of this one as I did with Bringing Down the Duke. So, to each their own. To each a rogue of one own. Okay. Next up, oh yeah, I think this was the only 5-star of the month, and surprisingly, it's a classic. I was commissioned to read this. There's a whole vlog, but it's Animal Farm by George Orwell. I enjoy Animal Farm. It's really good. It still holds up to this day. You can see more in the other vlog about that. Then I also read Tales from the Gas Station, Volume 2 by Jack Townsend. Again, you can go check out the vlog of me reading it, because those two, Animal Farm and that one, were my commissions of this past month. My first 1-star, Last of the Mohicans, James Fenimore Cooper. I hated this book. That's it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Not only is it not... When dealing with indigenous peoples, no, the classics are not good. You're going to get racism and stuff. But aside from that, dry as hell. I can't tell you a single thing about this book anymore. It's already gone from my memory. I hated it. Then we read an indie. 2 stars. Redemption by Jared Meyer. I really hated this. I did not think it was good. I don't think it was well researched. It brought in a lot of historical characters, real historical characters with very little research on those historical characters. I did not like them. I hated the main character. It had repetitive plots, repetitive thought processes, and I just really didn't like this, especially what it did with the character that I was told I was going to like. I liked her in the beginning, and then the author shifts her. I have a full rant on a live stream about this. This is one of those that I took notes on and was just actively angry and actively fact-checking, because I didn't trust a single thing when he brought in historical figures, and I was right. Just a quick fact-check, incorrect information, and I did not like that. I was disappointed, unfortunately, with a V.E. Schwab, and that is The Near Witch. It was fine. I gave it 3.5. I honestly am struggling to remember much about this one. I just didn't connect with it. Granted, I'm kind of in a state of burnout with audiobooks a little bit right now, or at the time of reading this. And it's still nice and stuff. It just didn't feel... I think, is this her debut? This might be her debut. I don't remember if it is or not. I didn't connect. I could not connect. I really struggled to. I'm trying to pull facts and information. I know I liked the romance, but I was confused and I just wasn't connecting. Another 4-star, and that is The Temperature of Me and You by Brian Zepka. I did like this. So this is a gay paranormal. I thought it was going to be aliens. It's not aliens. A weird science fiction romance, I want to say. It's very interesting. It is very cute. I think I only took away a star for certain moments in this. One thing that I did love, though, however, is the characters do paint by numbers, and I was doing a paint by numbers while reading all last month. So I was like, oh my god, I've never seen someone talk about paint by numbers in a book. So that made me happy. It also really made me want Dairy Queen. It's very annoying. But I liked it. I think this could easily have a sequel. It's not. It's a standalone, but it's good fun. If you want a cute gay romance with a little bit of a sci-fi aspect to it, check it out. It's kind of fun. It's like E.T. vibes without having aliens, if that makes sense. But definitely E.T. vibes. Next up, I was super surprised at how much I liked this book. I went into this with very low expectations, but I ended up loving it, and that is Zebulon Finch, Volume 1, At the Edge of Empire by Daniel Kraus. It's the Death and Life. It's a really long title, and it's very big. Big, and it's good floppy. Look at that petability. Oh, yeah. Now, this is, I did not think I would really like this. It's historical and horror. We go through a ton of historical moments with this full history. We end on the cusp of Pearl Harbor, I believe, is where this one ends, and then the next book picks up right after it. So we go through quite a lot, and while it does have a lot of unlikable characters, I was very intrigued by Zebulon and him going through life being kind of a sideshow character for a while, going into the army even, and I don't like reading like war storybooks, but this had it very interesting. I loved the character arcs that we saw with how he affects other people and his presence and people who find out his secret and stuff. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, so I did give it 4 stars. I do want to read the sequel. I honestly thought I was not going to enjoy this book, but lo and behold, I do enjoy it. So well done being a little surprise for me. Is it the best? No. Are there parts of it I didn't like? Yes, but it's over 600 pages long, so there was going to be something. It's like a 650 page book, but worth it, honestly, kind of worth it. Next up, we got another indie book that I read in a day, and I gave it 3.5 stars, and that is Queendom of Chaos by Megan Aldrich. I did enjoy this. There were parts of it I did not enjoy. Again, you can check out all my TikToks, because I was reading this during a self-care day, and I was doing multiple check-ins, so you can see my in-progress thoughts on my TikTok. It might also be on my Instagram. But yes, you can see them all here. I do go through it. There was a point where I thought there was something really bad happening. Luckily, I was corrected by it. I didn't quite understand a motive for the villain, for one, which I need good motives for my villains. And I would have liked more of a balanced POV situation with our 2 main characters, because you do get the POV of the female character in the beginning a little bit, but not as much later on. And I was just kind of confused by some of the magic in it. But overall, I did enjoy this one. So I'm hoping we'll see more explained and more talked about in the sequel, whenever that does come out. Next up, I read a bomb book. I'm really happy I did, because it took a while, but that is The Goose Girl by Shannon Hale. This is the first in the Books of Bayard series. I've owned it for a really long time, and this was very fun. I gave this 4.5, because it was a little bit, I was expecting it to be a lot more YA, like early YA, but it had a lot more to it that was a more mature YA to it, even while still being fun. Like, this is like a more mature dealing with dragons, because it did have a lot of good humor to it. It did have a lot of fun characters, really good plot, very interesting. I never really knew the story of the Goose Girl, but thoroughly enjoyed this and loved all the little twisty twits. And I'm very excited to continue with this series. I'm so glad that I read it so I didn't have to get rid of it, because that would have been tragic to get rid of this, because it was very fun. If you need a really good fantasy romance, I would recommend Goose Girl. You know what I wouldn't recommend though? Oliver Twist. This book is so much more anti-Semitic than I ever thought it could be. I did not realize how anti-Semitic Oliver Twist was, because I've only ever seen the musical. But Fagin himself is constantly referred to as the Jew. And he is such a caricature of Jewish people being greedy and slimy and gross and ugly and old, and just all these really negative stereotypes that it really ruined the experience for me. Also, it's Dickens and it was dry as hell. I gave it an extra 0.5 because the musical exists and the musical is way better. We go to a book. Again, I went in with low expectations. pleasantly surprised, and that is The City of Dusk by Tara Sim. This one for sure is Tara Sim's first adult novel. I remember it being marketed that way. It's also my first time reading Tara Sim. I do own the Timebreaker series, or Timekeeper, or whatever it's called, series, but I have not read it yet. It's still on my shelf. And I used to own Scavenge the Stars, and I unhauled that one. I feel bad about unhauling it now because I really like Tara Sim's writing. This had a very wide cast of characters, and it had points where I was like, oh, predictable, this is going to be this. And it actually didn't do the things I thought it would do. It did a couple of them, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. Like, way more than I thought. Again, I gave this 4.5 because at the very end it did a thing that I don't. You better not have done that. You better not have done that. I really like the magic in this. I really like most of the characters. There's only one character that I'm like, I do not care about you at all, and that's Angelica, and I just hate her so much. But I love everybody else. I love this kind of twist into almost villainy for some of the characters. Just, I really liked this. This was great. It's huge, but it's great. I recommend. It has a lot of other mixed reviews, but I personally, so down for it. Can't wait for the sequel. Next up, okay, I was a little tiny bit disappointed with this one. It was very different than what I thought it was going to be. I'm not mad about it being different, but that is Master of One by Jada Jones and shoot, I always forget, it's two authors, Danny Bennett. I always forget. I'm so sorry. But this is a standalone fantasy. However, I don't think it should be a standalone based on where we left off, because we did not complete the journey. We did not complete that. I did like it. There were other POVs that I thought were unnecessary in this. And if we had kind of left it as our main characters, if we had just got this story told from Rags' point of view, I think this would have been a solid 5. But when it switched POVs, it kind of lost me, and I was really only interested in Rags' POV. But I liked it. It had a little bit of like fairy Indiana Jones vibe to it. So it went in doing some I did not expect. Whatever I expected was not what I got, but I'm not mad about it. It did just lose me quite a bit for the other POVs, and I would have liked us to just stay with Rags, and that would have been a better story, I think. But I also think, hey, we should have more books, because the other things are still out there. Where's the next? Then I finished all of my Alice Oseman backlog with I Was Born for This. And unfortunately, this is my least favorite Alice Oseman. And because I really didn't care for the characters. I did still give it 3.5 because Alice Oseman makes some absolutely great points in this, especially dealing with fandom, with opinions on people who participate in fandoms, with how some people in fandoms can ruin things for other fans. It really was talking about fan culture in this, which I appreciated the discussion. I just did not care for some of the characters. And I would have liked to see things turn out a little bit. Love that the battery died. Anyway, so yeah, 3.5. I did still enjoy it. It's just my least favorite of all of the Alice Osemans that I have read. Going in, I kind of knew that just based on the summary, because I'm not a fan of books that surround like boy bands and music and fandoms and stuff. It's just not my thing. Luckily, it didn't do what I thought might happen. But there is no romance in this. Well, I won't say that, but not like between the main characters or anything. So, yeah, I did enjoy it. Just, it wasn't my favorite. Then, again, a surprise. This is another Bond book, but it was on the TBR. And that is A River of Royal Blood by Amanda Joy. So you guys know, I have a stupid reason for not wanting to read this book, and that's because the way that the chin is drawn, you can't see it, but anyway, it has a weird shadow that makes it just look really weird, and it was off-putting. I do like the alternate cover of this, and I ended up liking this a lot more than I thought I would. Again, I gave it 3.5. I do want to read the sequel. I do think some of this could easily be solved with some communication and for parents not to suck. And also, here's the misleading thing. I thought this was going to be a story about sisters, and it's really not. So honestly, this character should not even be on the cover, which I think the improved version of it only has this character, because we only get her POV for one. And I thought we were going to do a story that was like, oh, these sisters are pitted against each other, but they, you know, actually they're very close and stuff. And that's not the case. This is a very kind of caricatured villain of like evil older sister who's then too ambitious for her own good and is ready to kill her little sister. So I was hoping for a little bit more sister story, because I really do like stories that involve sisters. I have sisters. And yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more. Now, what it did instead, I'm still very interested in. I do really like where the story is going. I like the politics in this one. And I liked the side characters that we got. That ending, though, I'm like, y'all need to stop freaking holding your secrets in, because that's rude as hell after everything y'all went through and you're still not being honest with each other. So I do actually want to read the sequel. I don't have it yet, but I do want to read it. Three stars. I will say that. 3 stars. I think Tolstoy actually is very readable. I just hate this book. I hate these characters. This book should not be called Anna Karenina. This book should just be called Insecurity. Everyone is insecure. And this book could have been shortened so much if people just talked about their feelings and weren't so insecure. Some people might not have died. Just saying. I honestly do not think Anna Karenina should be the title. It should be something else, because if you know what happens with Anna Karenina, and the book continues on after that point for some reason. So yeah, but I've read it now. But I will say, honestly, of the Russian literature that I had to read this month, readable. Like, I could easily comprehend this, whereas like with Dickens, unreadable. Fenimore Cooper, unreadable. It's so dry, it's so bland. There's actual like drama in the Russian lit. Then we got to read A Far Wilder Magic by Alison Saft, and I loved this. I will argue though, bad cover. This cover makes me think this book is going to be something completely different than what it is. This is set in a fictional 1920s kind of era, and I do not believe that of the characters on the cover. This is a terrible characterization of this character. It makes her look wispy and weak, and she's a badass, all right? She's a sharp-shooting, like, mud-trudging badass girl who don't need no man, okay? I mean, she gets one, but she don't need him. This cover does not represent what is in this book. I thoroughly enjoyed this, though. These characters are very interesting. I like his character less than I like her character, and that is just because of a thing. He's a flirt with everybody, and I'm not into those types of characters, but he gets better. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. The only thing is, it's kind of weird because it is historical fantasy, because it pulls from the 1920s. It pulls from a lot of themes of like the Irish being in America, and like the no Irish need apply signs, and they change it to a different name, along with, I think, also with Jews, and also possibly with Muslim, and like the parallels it was bringing just basically to minority groups immigrating to America. It was kind of playing on that, and I don't know if we necessarily needed to make this a full fantasy with that. Well, like changing the names of it, I think it easily could have just had the fantasy elements and like making it historical, like the historical fiction with fantasy elements, and just being like, oh, it's still like 1920s New York, America, with all the you know, the real people, but we also have magic. I don't necessarily think it needed to be full fantasy to make it work, because it was a little bit too obvious when it was making those comparisons. So it's fine. But overall, I still thoroughly enjoyed it. I do wish the ending kind of turned out a teensy-weensy bit different with the hala. And I don't know if that's how you actually pronounce it. It's hala or hala, I'm not sure. I wish there had been a little bit more explanation to this godlike creature, but we don't get that. But overall, I do like it. I do like what it says, especially about family, in terms of some family is great, some family is not. And sometimes you make your own, and sometimes your family really is there for you. So I really liked that kind of duality to this story. But thoroughly enjoyed this. I'm like, I gotta read all of Alison Saft's work now, because that was just a delight. You know what wasn't a delight? Crime and Punishment. Again, though, I will say, once we got to like the actual crime that was committed, I was enthralled. I was very into this. So that's why this book did get 2.5. It got 2.5 because I was interested at like the first third of this book. I was in it. I was like, oh, do I like Russian lit now? No, because I hate the rest of the story. I don't like the rest of the story. If we just cut it off at the first third, I'd be happy, but I don't like it. I don't like it. It's readable. Granted, so I like Russian lit more than I like classic lit in, like, England. But, no. Then, we got to the final book on the TBR. Not the final book I read, but the final book on the TBR, and that is Bladed Secrets by Trisha Levenseller. It's the beginning of duology, and loved it. Again, 4.5. I get Trisha Levenseller. She gets me. She gets what I want. I need to read the sequel to this very, very fast. I loved the magic system in this, and I really liked the characters. I didn't totally love Little Sister character in this, because a lot of times people portray Little Sisters as rambunctious wild sluts, and she's definitely portrayed as that, even though that's not actually what's going on to Little Sister. The opinion of Little Sister being, oh, she just goes off and makes out with boys all the time, which is not what she's doing, but she just lets people think that's what she's doing. So I liked Little Sister for this, but the constant portrayal of older sister having to be the caretaker and stuff, like, I'm tired of that trope. I'm tired of, as a little sister, I don't like that. I don't like constantly people thinking little sisters are just like the wild child. I mean, I was a problem child, but, you know, I'll let my mom tell you about that. But I wasn't like what everyone portrays little sisters as, and that is little sluts. And I don't like that portrayal. I don't like the Lydia Bennett treatment of little sisters. That's basically what I'm saying here. A lot of the times, the reasons the little sisters are wild and crazy like that is because they have the overbearing older sister. So I'm kind of tired of that trope too. So work on our depictions of sisters, because that dynamic does not always exist. And I would like to see a variety of sister dynamics. I probably fall prey to that too. I mean, Hispanic definitely plays a little bit into that, but not nearly as much as I've seen in other books. But I still thoroughly enjoyed this, and oh god, that ending scene was intense. The last two books I will review together, and that is Kurokenshin Volume 4 and 5. Again, I'm not super into comics, but it's fun. It's still a fun time. It's nostalgic. It definitely reads like the manga I used to read as a teenager. And I don't really have much more to say about it. My opinion hasn't really changed through reading. I still have 2 more volumes to read, but it's a fun time. Whenever Hala does fully re-release them, I'll let you know, so you can have your own opinion about them as well. But that is the reviews of the books that I read in March. I'm sorry, I got a little off track. And now we're gonna go into the stats. Welcome to March stats. The yellow side is March, February was blue. You can kind of see a little bit of April there. But yeah, so I did a grand freaking total of 27 books, y'all. 27. I did it. I read all that massive TBR. I did it. And then some, because I'm insane, which means I read 10,550 pages and listened to 215 hours of audio books. I read 8 indies. I think this month is the biggest in everything. Let me just glance over here. Yeah, it is. I did not read any own voices, though, according to my stuff. But I started 10 series. I did continue. I haven't continued. It says 5, but I know at least 2 of those were in the same series. So I think I probably continued 4 series, maybe. I did not complete any series, though. Hopefully a lot more completion will happen in April. We'll see. But On average, my average book size, wow, why is this, excuse you, why are you not like everyone else? You need to become, there we go, okay, anyway, so the averages, the pages was 390.74 pages on average. That is the biggest. Granted, remember, a lot of my stats will be skewed because we had Anna Karenina, which is over 800 pages long, and 34 hours on audio. But per day, now this is not part of the challenge of reading 100 pages per day. This is average between both audio and physical, 340.32 pages per day. I don't know if I can say I actually did my 100 pages a day because I definitely wasn't doing it every single day. With total actual pages read physically, yes, I did, because that was about, I want to say like 3,400 of those pages were physical. No, 35 probably. 3,500 were physical, and divide that by 31 because March 3rd, then I did it. But not every single day, so I somewhat failed on doing that. Average hours of the audiobooks were 14 and a half-ish, or 14.33 hours and minutes. I don't know words anymore. But again, skewed, Anna Karenina. It took me, this is the fastest reading I've done so far. On average, to complete a book was 2.8 days. I did a lot of books in a day. I read Anna Karenina so fast because I just wanted to get done with that. Even though it's the longest book, but I'm like chugging through it all day long. But we did have a decent reading month with 3.62 average rating. It's not my best. January is still the best for rating. Looking at our format, so I did read 15 via audiobook. I did 3 ebooks, 3 paperbacks, and 6 hardcovers. So we did 9 physical reads this month, which is my best so far. Predominantly I did listen via Libby, and then I did 2 unscribed, 2 that were special editions, that's not audio. I had 1 ARC and 2 that were author PDFs, which was both the Kurokenshin. I was continuing Kurokenshin by Hala. 14 adult, I'm still predominantly reading adult right now, which is crazy. I didn't do any middle grade, but I did do 13 young adults. So we're almost halvesies. We're almost halvesies on these. In the genre breakdown, this month, I think fantasy romance and classics tied. Because the TBR was mean. Historical fantasy and high fantasy were right next to it with 4 each. We did 2 horror, and then everybody else was 1. But fantasy romance finally coming in clutch. You know, on average rating, the most we read were 4 stars, with 7 of them. We had 6 4.5 stars, which is pretty awesome. I had 1 5-star. Unfortunately, we did have 1 1-star, 1 1.5, 2 2 stars, 1 2.5, 2 3 stars, and 6 3.5. So I did have a lot. And again, a lot of classics this month, and I'm not a classic girl. So 24 of these books were novels. 1 was a graphic novel, 2 were manga/comics, which was Kurokenshin. 13 of the authors were authors that I know. This is the first time I think that we've gotten authors that I know and love to be the bigger slice of the wheel of cheese here. I'm saying it's a cheese wheel. It looks like a cheese wheel. 2 of them were debuts and 14 were brand new to me. So I guess technically 14 were new authors and 13 were repeats, but we're saying it was bigger. With representation, we did have a better kind of chunks here. So 5 of the books had queer main characters, 3 of them had at least side, and then 18 of them had no characters, which, you know, in the grand scheme of it's not great. 5 characters were also disability representation, and 2 were side characters, and then 20 were absent, which is unfortunate. But author gender-wise, 14 were, or those who identify as women, 10 were men, 2 were non-binary, 1 trans man, which is really awesome that I got to read a little bit during the trans readathon. I wasn't totally like, I'm so sad it popped up because I would have been so much more prepared, but because of the way the TBR worked, it didn't. But I did sneak a couple in there. We snuck some in. Character genders, we had 7 that were women, 9 that were men, 8 that were, for the POVs were both from men and women, 3 that had multiple identities, so we did have some non-binary and trans characters that were part of the POVs, which was awesome. That's the first time we got that, but no singular POV, like the book is only told by like a trans person or a non-binary person, so they were just with cisgendered POVs, because I read a lot of multi-POV books. Nationalities wise, again, American, no surprise there. We did have, you know, 2 Russians, because I read Tolstoy and Dostoevsky, and then 4 of them were British. Settings. We had a bunch from the fictional land. The fictional land really was where I read a lot. I read a lot of fantasy. So there was 11 from the fictional, 6 from the US, 6 from the UK, 2 from Russia, again, Tolstoy and Dostoevsky, and 3 were set in Japan. Ta-da. Publishers. This is fun because we have had a lot of self-published winning. Who's winning? Paper Mill Press, because of the classics. So 5 of them were Paper Mill Press classics from Book Outlet, basically. But 4 self-published and 4 small press. So we did 8 indies, basically. Well, we already know that. I said that stat already. 4 were from Macmillan and 4 were from Penguin. So Macmillan starting to creep up on Penguin's lead here. We did have 3 from Hachette, 2 from HarperCollins, and our very first Simon & Schuster. This is the first time we got a Simon & Schuster this year, which is insane. Publication year, we did pretty good. We did a lot from last year, 7 from 2022 and 6 from 2015 to 2019, which has been kind of the predominant month or the predominant slice. But 2022 finally kicked it in gear. We had 1 from 2021, 2 from 2020, 3 from 2010 to 2014, 1 from the 2000s, 1 from 1900s, and then 4 from the 1800s, and 2 from 2023. Now, acquisition-wise, 2022 is still in the lead. I think it's been mostly in the lead of acquisition. So it's 16 of them that I got last year, 3 of them that we got this year, 1 I got in 2019, 1 I got in 2020, or 3 I got in 2020, excuse me, I can read, and then 4 that we got in 2021. Where we got them from, Book Outlet, reclaiming its title as where I buy most of my books. 2 of them were from Pango. Where are you at, Pango? You're down here. It's 1 from Second and Charles, 2 from Amazon, 1 from Tattered Cover. 1 of them was gifted. 4 were directly from the authors. 2 Fairy Loots. 1 from a small bookstore, 2 from conventions, and 1 from Target. Which means this was my most expensive reading month yet, with $285.89. A total is how much I spent on the TBR of March, basically, and averaging out the books costing $11.44. So that was my most expensive month, but I also read the most. Awesome. So that is just the monthly stats. Now you guys get your first look at how my yearly stats be going. Isn't this exciting? I won't go in incredible detail because a lot of it is moot. But definitely you can see that March has been the best. You can see some of April. I've already logged some of April. But I've increased. I've kind of keep going up. So I'm like, do I need to read more in April? No, April's going to go down. Pages as well. We see the trend going up. Audiobook, we see trend going up. Over here is where I read them. So again, predominantly how I'm acquiring these books is through Libby, which is my library app. So 29 so far this year, and then 22 have just been regular physical reads, basically. Scribd is with 10, and then a bunch of little babies down here. With format, again, it's no surprise that I've predominantly read via audiobooks. But it is surprising that I've read more paperbacks than hardcovers, because I'm a hardcover girl, and I am just very proud that I've done 9 ebooks. I hate reading ebooks, but I've done 9, and I'm going to force myself into reading more of them. With publishers, now here's the actual publishers. Surprisingly, well, self-published is my biggest chunk. A lot of self-pub, but behind that is Paper Mill Press. But then Little Brown Books and Tor. So Tor is actually in the lead, but I am a little mad at Tor right now. for reasons. And then Little Brown Books is up here with 5. Now with the big name, the big 5, Penguin is winning. 16. Penguin, Self-Pub with 14, and then you can add the small presses, the indie presses to that. Like, that does make my indie books more. But in terms of the big 5, Penguin is winning. And coming behind them real close is Macmillan, followed by HarperCollins, followed by Hachette, and finally with one Simon & Schuster. It just cracks me up. I'm like, I guess I'm not a Simon & Schuster girl. You never know. With average page counts, my books are averaging between 350 and 400. That's not a surprise. Mostly reading novels. Publication year, 2022, I believe, is what's winning right now. Yes, 2022 with 12 books published last year are winning. Closely behind that is 2020 and 2023. They're tied with 9 books each. And then 2019 behind that. And then this is the craziest one. Look how much adult I'm reading. So much adult. What is this? Who am I? I'm a YA girl usually. What's going on? What's this shift? I don't know. Genres though, no surprise, fantasy romance is winning. But the classics is what's killing me. I'm getting so many classics. And then historical fantasy, and then horror. I am not a horror girl. Now this is skewed. We had the horror readathon last month, or in February. I don't know what month it is anymore. I've read a ton of new authors. So 46 with 5 debuts, 46 brand new authors, 30 that I've read from before. And then I have a bunch. This is my author tracker of who I've read. But we've got 2 from Holly Black, 2 from Rebecca Ross, 2 from Tycho Dwellis, 2 from Hala. Wait, that's more. I read more of Hala than just this. I must have not logged it correctly. Oh yeah, I did. There's a Hala should technically be in the lead. So Hala should have 3. Because I've read 3 Kurokenshins so far this year. I need to fix it. That's just the formatting issue. 2 from Jack Townsend, because they were both commissioned, and 2 from Kendra Merritt, which will change because I'm going to read so much more Kendra Merritt this year, because I have all of them now. All the Mark of the Least. I have them. Anyway. Cool. Acquisition year, 2022. So many. Oh, well, that's such a skewed number. That is an incorrect number. I don't know what it's reading, but I've definitely had, it's summing them all up. Oh, it's summing everything. That's funny. There we go. 36 books have been acquired from last year, and then 15 from this year, and 11 from 2020, 8 from 2021, 4 from 2019, and 1 from 2017. And of course, no surprise, Book Outlet winning. But Gifted and Direct from the Author are in second place, both with 8 books. Cool. With series, I've definitely read a ton of series. We have done 41 series, 2 companions and 2 interludes, and then 31 standalones. So we've had quite a lot. I have finished 5 series. I have finished, but we're going to take a look at something else real quick. But 5 officially have been completed. Star ratings, we're mostly getting into the 4s. 4-star is, again, it's summing it again. 25 of them have been 4 stars. And then 3.5 right behind it. So I average around there. I'm very stingy with my 5 stars. So I've only had 8 5 stars this year. I'm stingy with my 1 stars and my 5 stars. I usually can reason myself in between them. The days spent reading is very skewed because it's counting I don't know how to reprogram this if somebody knows, but the way that my tracker works, like it's pre-saying anything that I haven't filled in, it's counting all of these ones. So that one we won't be able to look at until the end of the year. Just saying. Narrators, I haven't had anybody double on narrators yet. So everybody I've read has been a single thing. Author gender identity, we can see I predominantly read women. LGBT rep, a lot of them haven't had any, but I have had mostly gay, only by 2. I was like, I thought lesbian was actually gonna win. I thought I'd read more. But we've had 12 that were male romances, basically, or like I had male gay characters, and then 10 with lesbian characters. 5 were bi or pan, 2 with ace protagonists. This is about protagonists, by the way. One that is a trans man, one that is non-binary or gender fluid, and then 5 that had like multiple queer POVs. So I couldn't like individually track them because of how the tracker works. But yeah, disability rep, we've had 15 that have main character with some disability, 7 with side characters, but again, a lot with none. Protagonist gender identities, again, or at least with POV, predominantly women, 29. 23 have both had male and female POVs. 21 were men, and then we had 3 with multiple identities. No single POV yet has been a queer identity. With nationalities, no surprise, American, 3 Canadians, 7 British, 1 French, 1 France, sorry, 1 Irish, 1 Spanish, 1 Australian, 1 Scottish, 1 Russian, and 1 Japanese. I don't know why I had to do with the accents. And then my fun thing, this is my settings maps that are very fun. So the greener it is, the more common where it's set. Now I have a little weird because I can't pick oceans, and I've read a few books. I read one that's mostly set on the Indian Ocean, so I made it India. It's the Indian Ocean. And then I just read a book that's set in the Atlantic. So I didn't know where to set it, so I put it as the UK. I don't know. I didn't figure in oceans as a setting. But I did have a bunch for fictional lands, and you can also see state-wise who's mostly read, so a lot more that are read in California and New York. I don't know why it says 1 there. This is another map that I'm still figuring out that. But that's where our current year standings are. Let's take a quick peek-see at the series tracker. So this is my series tracker. Every single series I am in the middle of is in this tracker, right? So at the start of the year, we had 76 series. We have since added 26 to that number. I have fully completed, it says 3, which I don't know why my other one says 5, which is confusing. But up to publication, so I cannot continue further, is 20. I've read 20 books that I cannot continue further. And then I have DNF'd 6 series. I don't DNF books, I do DNF series. So you can see Queendom of Chaos is up to pub. Anything that's purple is up to publication. Anything that's yellow is a DNF. And anything that is green, we'll find one. I know we will. There it is. Green is completely finished. There's no news of another book coming out, and that can easily change because, you know, authors love to surprise us. But yeah, we've got that. We've got that. Woo! But that's them. So much. So many series. So many series. Woo! Woo-woo! You can also see my Guildathon. This is my Guildathon tracker of where we're at. I've so far made 538 points for Storm's Rage. Let's go! And then also I'm doing Realmathon right now, but that's April. You don't need to know about that. You can see the acquisitions. I don't want to show you everything for acquisitions, but I've definitely acquired 133 books. So, I mean, that's April. Up in the first quarter, 112. It says 113, but there's one. I have to subtract 1 for the title. We've acquired 113 books since. I have read 1, 2. I don't want you to see the numbers. We've read 8 books that I've acquired this year. That I've marked it. There might be more, actually, that I've read. Hold on. Let's take a look-see. Who else have I not marked as read? It might have been. I'm a little bit worse about updating that one. Those were the book stats. I can talk. We are going to look at my goals that I said. So in December, I like to tell you guys all the goals that I have for a year. And every year, you know, last year was 22 of 2022. So this year is 23 of 2023. We're going to do a little check-in. We have been working on several things. So one of them is my Hisvacak publishing goal. I am querying. I've already got 6 lovely rejections. I'm fine. I have not really worked on the audiobook for Memory of the Hoop White. I am hoping to do that this month. Same with Create-a-thon 2. We haven't really worked on it. We will be soon. Acing it, draft 1. I need to revamp and start rewriting it. I have not worked on it yet. Vagabonds. I worked on Vagabonds, on Perfectly Respectable Vagabonds, a little bit in January, but I have not since. Clearing a credit card. We've worked on it. It has not gone well. I did get a new phone. So that's completed. New phone. Hooray. Hooray, new phone. The short story anthology is still working on. I'm hoping to really finish editing a bunch of them this month. Updating my music library. We did it. I researched all my old bands and I updated it. And now I have a playlist. So that is done. Camping. I mean, we couldn't because it's the winter months. Ren Fair costume. I have worked on a little bit. I have acquired fabric. I have acquired patterns. Hoping to start sewing this month. Traveling somewhere new. I said yes, I did it because I went to Tennessee to visit my sister. I've never been to Tennessee. Ziplining adventure park. I worked on it in February because I researched where to go and how much it's going to cost me. Otherwise, I haven't done anything. Same with hiking on a mountain. Haven't done anything. Putting $2,000 in my savings. I've worked on it. It's not going well. It's really not. I'm 100% that's going to fail this year. Going to Pride, obviously we can't do it because Pride is not until June, so we can't work on that. Revamping my home library, what I wanted to do is get new bookshelves. I have not done that yet because that's expensive. Teaching Ian hiragana, katakana. We started it every Sunday. We're doing it Saturday this week, but you won't see this video until then. Anyway, Sundays we teach hiragana and katakana live. So come join if you want to learn some. Play a video game fully. We have worked on it. I have phasmophobia now. I'm able to do it now. I'm gonna once I catch each individual ghost one time, I'm gonna say that that's complete. But we have not completed yet. We have not done ghost hunting. We have not done Garden of the Gods or the narrow gauge train. I worked on it because I researched how much it's gonna cost me, and the narrow gauge train is gonna cost me. So go visit my Ko-fi page, and yeah. So that's where we're currently at. So we've completed 3 goals. 3 of the 23 of 2023 are finished, which is awesome. Then I have my mini goals. So I keep adding these as kind of like mini things. We did make my prequel ebook and the physical book. So those are now, you can now read Rise of the Asranam. It is now available. We haven't worked on the Ashport Heart Carvers or updating my recording booth or getting a new microphone. None of that's been done. My Twitch pre-roll, I need to get better about Twitch. I have not worked on it at all. Alpha reading Grave of Brothers, we have worked on it. We're still working on it because it's not done yet. It's not on my plate right now. Binding a leather-bound Ashport, haven't worked on it. Begin a coding course, haven't worked on it. Making the Laszlo hat, haven't worked on it. The book quilt, haven't worked on it. Learning D&D, we're in a campaign. We've started. We haven't gotten far, but we've started. Getting a new bed. Haven't gotten it. Mambo timer, we are working on it. It is in progress. Coming sort of soon, not really. But Make It Books project, haven't worked on. Keyboard. New keyboard is here. It's a clickety-clackety mouse combo. Thank God. Oops, I typed. There we go. Blue light glasses. Right here, right here. And the pupper's mat, the window mat, that is done. I'm also gonna start making a keyboard pouch. So we're gonna start that. But those are the mini goals. I keep adding things to mini goals as things come up. So they're less intense goals. Yeah, but there we go. That was the stats. Let's talk about all the books that I got in March, because I got me some books. For sure, these I did. Hello all, this is part of the video where I talk about the books that I got. You already knew this because I probably already introduced it. I've got a lot more books. You know, it's not my fault that Book Outlet keeps having sales. That's not my fault. We're gonna quickly go over the ones that I got, and then I'm gonna throw them on the shelves because we've got, you might recognize this outfit a lot in the next few videos because I've run out of time. So anyway, the latest book that I got was An Arrow to the Moon by Emily X.R. Pan. This is a Chinese mythology retelling. This is the Fairy Loot edition of it. I got it off of Pango though, so woohoo for cheaper editions. And actually I got a gift card from work for my 1-year anniversary, and so I decided to get as many books as possible within a $25 gift card, and that wound me up with a few of these babies. So I read City Beyond the Glass earlier this year, and then I needed the rest of the series, and they were all very, very cheap on Amazon. So we have The Rakshasa's Bride, The Prince of Fishes, The Bells of Paradise, Death Be Not Proud, and 10,000 Thorns. We finally got my copy of Cursed, finally, that I pre-ordered last year. It is now here. We have Four Treasures of the Sky by Jenny Tinqui Zhang. Sorry, I have no words ability today. We have These Feathered Flames by Alexandra Overy. These Infinite Threads by Tahara Mafi. I also got this with my gift card from work. We have Kate Elliott's Unconquerable Sun. We've got The Devil Makes 3 by Tori Bovalino. Blood Air by Amelie Wen Zhao. I actually didn't want to read this one at first, and then I bought her other one, and this was purely because, again, I don't like the cover. It feels like an unfinished painting. We have The Queen's Resistance by Rebecca Ross. We have Not Your Average Hot Guy by Gwenda Bond. The entire Tensoret series by Neon Yang. So there are 4 books in this one copy there. Amory and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston. This is a middle grade. Mad and Bad Real Heroines of the Regency by Bea Koch. This is a non-fiction. Lore Olympus Volume 2 by Rachel Smythe. All of Our Demise by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman. The River of Silver by S.A. Chakraborty. The Grey Bastards by Jonathan French. The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. The Book of Magic by Alice Hoffman. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, the Minalima edition. They came out with a new one. Now I still have all of the Minalimas. Very important to me. The most beautiful book I own, probably, and that is The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty, S.A. Chakraborty. This edition is so freaking beautiful. I'm obsessed with it. Before We Disappear by Sean David Hutchison. Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation by Mojang Tongju. I'm so sorry if I pronounce that name. I have 2 more books by that same author. We have The Scum Villain Self-Saving System and Heaven Official's Blessing. Oh God, Heaven Official's Blessing. I got all those at Tattered Cover, and I was like, those look amazing. And they're not graphic novels. They look like they should be, but they're not. We have The Sword of Light by Carolina Logan, which is the next book in that series. I have the other one too, but something happened. It's somewhere in here. We have Alana, The First Adventure by Tamora Pierce. I have to read this for 23 of 2023. I finally got a copy of it. The Queer Principles of Kit Webb by Kat Sebastian. We have Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune, a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I didn't know they were doing that. We've got The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. Over My Dead Body by Sweeney Boone. This is a graphic novel. Ball Lightning by Shijin Zhu. The Bone Maker by Sarah Beth Durst. War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. Got a nice little cloth-bound version of it. Horsemen by Christina Henry. A Sleepy Hollow retelling. The Prisoner of Heaven by Carlos Ruiz Zafon. I now have the entirety of the whole Shadow of the Wind 4-book set, even though I don't think any of them are connected. I think they're just all in the same universe. The Luminaries by Susan Dennard. The Bewilderness by Ben Reeves. The last pre-order of the year so far, A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. I'm very excited about that. The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. The Memory Theater by Karen Tidbeck. The Shepherd's Crown by Terry Pratchett. Waist Tide by Chen Shufang. Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Ka. I read that backwards. Sources Say by Lori Goldstein. The Song That Moves the Sun by Anna Bright. Princess for Christmas by Jenny Holiday. And I didn't realize this is a large print version of it. Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson. And lastly, okay, we also have The Spear of Truth by Caroline Logan. It's already on the shelf. I already put it away apparently, but it should have stayed over here. Anyway, we have The Davenports by Crystal Marquis. Marquis? I'm not sure, but there we go. That is the haul of March. Back to the rest of the stats and everything else going on in this video. Hello everybody, welcome to the Cauldron prompts part of this video. So if you are unaware, I have a little cauldron and inside are some prompts and stuff of what I'll try to accomplish in this quarter. It is separate from the 23 of 2023. These are mostly like one-off little, hey, you could do this project. A lot of them are like, hey, here's something to do while like listening to audiobooks and stuff. They're just fun creative tasks. There's no pressure to complete them. There's no punishment if I don't. So let's go over the Cauldron prompts for quarter one, and we'll pull out the handy dandy book for that. So I pull 8 prompts. So the very first ones we had is get away for the weekend, which I'm technically saying I accomplished because I did stay like away in a hotel for cosign. And then I went away to visit my sister. So I'm saying, yes, I completed that. Then the book buying ban in January, I did not buy any books. Aside from the Fairy Loot subscription box, which does not count because it's a regular. Going to the zoo, I did not complete. I intended to go this month, but it just did not happen. So it's gonna stay there and be like, maybe I'll accomplish it later this year, but I did not. Paint by numbers, we completed. Da, 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 da. Here's the painting I completed. It's this beautiful, like, magical tree. I actually really like it. I'm proud of myself. It looks good. You just don't look at it up close because paint by numbers, none of them look good if you look at them up close, but from far away, they all look fine. It's that Clueless quote, right? Like, from far away, it's great, but bright big up front, it's a big old mess. It's a Monet. It's a Monet. Are you a Monet? No, you look beautiful close up. You just don't want to be. We had to do a daily vlog in January, which I did, and I'm glad that's over. I had to do a self-care day, which I did during my cozy reading day. Go see a movie, which I did with Lena. We went and saw the movie 65. It was not dinosaurs. I don't know what those were, but they were not dinos. And then reading 100 pages a day in March. And it was supposed to be physical. I technically completed this if you're going by the total amount of pages. I definitely did not do it every single day though. I had some issues getting those done. So 7 out of 8 were completed. Not bad in my opinion. We're gonna see what we might end up with this month. So I think originally I said I would throw prompts back in. I'm not gonna do that just because there are so many in here. I just want to keep it all variety. So let's pick our first Cauldron prompt. Is going to be fun on the town. Okay. I forgot what it was on this, so gotta go out and have some fun on the town. I don't know what that's actually going to entail. Probably a bookstore crawl. That's probably what's gonna happen. Next Cauldron prompt. Oh boy, this will be fun. Second in Charles challenge. Now, I had a few ideas for this. Either like a timed challenge or like a scavenger hunt challenge. I'm not sure how exactly I want to do this yet. I will happily take suggestions down below where it's like either I play my game and bring prompts to Second and Charles and try to find the books, or time me and see how many books I can pull that I would like. Usually I take my sweet time at Second and Charles, so rushing me into that's a big one. But I do have books to sell to Second and Charles right now, so I can trade in for credit at least, so that's nice. Next, I'm so happy about that. Puppy day! Spend a day with my puppies. As you know, my puppies don't get to live with me for some reason. We keep trying to bring them over here. Mambo wants to attack them. Mambo really, really does not like the puppies. Lucy's scared of Mambo. Pie would like to eat Mambo. So they don't get to live with me. They still live with my parents, and I don't get to have like full days with them, which is great that this is spring because I can take them out. We can go on a big walk. I can take them and get magic window food and have a day with my puppies. That's a good Cauldron prompt. Sometimes there's mean prompts in here, I will say. I mentioned this already, so I guess fun on the town has to be something else. Bookstore crawl! I did a bookstore crawl 6 years. When did I do this? I don't remember when I did this bookstore crawl. It was a long time ago. So basically I researched a bunch of independent bookstores. I did not go to big box stores or anything. I made myself buy a book from every single one of them. So I'll need to update because a couple of the stores that I did last time have closed down or were not actually bookstores. So now I have to think of something else for fun on the town. Here's a punishment. Double your TBR. Now I've already chosen the April TBR, but I do have to roll to see what month I need to double the TBR. Now I have a 10 book TBR. I've already posted the video. So I might have to have round 2 of another, if it gets April. It could be April, May, or June. For 6, oh God, okay. A parody video. I like to sing, I love musicals. I like making parodies based on bookish or writer content. So we need to make a parody video of some sort. Put your suggestions down below of what song you want me to parody. 2 more. I haven't done this in years. Latch hook. When I was a kid, I latch hooked. I have not latch hooked as an adult. I don't even know where to get a latch hook anymore. I mean, I know I can go to a craft store, but like, I need a good one. Latch hook. Oh my God. Too bad Guildathon is not until Q3 this year. And last one. Okay. A purge. This is a full house cleaning purge. Purging stuff I don't need at all. Wow. Okay, so only one of those necessarily has to be in one of the months, and that is double your TBR. So you're sitting on my dice box. I'm gonna make a wheel. Here we go. Oh God. No! Oh no, that's May. That's May. It's May. I thought it was April. It's May. Okay. May's TBR. Whatever I roll in the game, I have to double. We have a lot of fun extravaganza kind of stuff. I don't know what to do for fun on the town. I definitely need your suggestions for this. It's not even like my birthday yet. That'd be a better prompt to get in July, but it's not. Okay. So, fun on the town and stuff. And let me know your suggestions, what you would prefer to do for a Second Charles challenge. Do you want me to do a timed challenge or a TBR challenge? Kind of like TBR game challenge, where instead of picking books to read, it's picking the books I have to buy. And I would pre-spin and stuff for those things. Probably, I don't know, I'd probably just pull cards. Probably just pull cards for it, I don't know. Because some of the prompts on like some of the wheel prompts, I just couldn't do like oldest and newest or biggest and largest. I couldn't quite do. Everything else could be completed in a Second Charles. Not a TBR bag though, obviously. I'd have to make like a TBR bag for all the stuff I need. And that's a lot. That's a lot of books. As is everything else. So anyway, back to the rest of the video. Those are the Cauldron prompts. All right, I think we've reached the end of everything. This was a very big update. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and just talking books, because I love talking books. As you know, I love stats and things. Cool. I'm gonna go now. I will see you next week with another video. Check me out on all the social medias. Check me out on the live streams every Friday evening, and Sundays we teach Japanese. So come by and have some fun with us on my lives. Check out my Ko-fi page if you like this video and want to support me as a content creator. I super appreciate it. Mambo appreciates it. She's still working on laying an egg right now. Cool. Okay. I'm gonna go now. Bye. Hello again. So, those were the book stats. I can talk. Spells for beginning by, blah, 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 blah. Bit. What is this? What is this? Oh, it's Search of the Phoenix, isn't it? Is it? Yeah, it is. Okay, it's my books. Oh, that came much sooner. I'm like, this didn't look like a package. It's my book. Okay. It's just more copies of that baby. I forgot. Someone always gets scared when I go to the door. Are you stuck? Are you stuck? Is your foot stuck in my hair? It might be. Anyway, what was I talking about? Hi. Oh, I didn't even do reviews yet. We gotta restart this video. What did I read? I don't remember. Okay. Also, I don't know if you can hear Mambo right now making that noise. She's laying an egg. Are you going up? Okay, cool. Okay.